There are some things that I want to tell you. These things are that I think we think in many ways. This way of thinking is called perspective. When we think from the first perspective and when we think from the second perspective, if you think, there is a lot of difference between the two. We feel that whatever is happening around us depends on our perspective, but in reality it happens that when the place we are in, that place really matters, as we change our place. If we give attention, then the attitude of seeing the things happening around also changes. The difference is visible. It happens because before meeting we think according to the second perspective. And after meeting we are thinking according to the first perspective, i.e. before meeting we are seeing that whole situation like this, as if we are watching a movie in the theater, but after meeting it seems that we have come inside that movie. In the first situation we are looking at ourselves, but in the second situation we are not looking at ourselves but at the people around us. The difference is visible only by changing such a perspective. The dimension of seeing things changes. It was not that these things were with us from the beginning. But as our society started developing, especially cinema and movies, after the arrival of this thought process has affected a lot. And many other things like this video which we are watching dominates our mind in such a way that we are thinking things accordingly. Well, a good example of this is that when two people are fighting, a third person is always called to calm them down. Who is looking at things from a different perspective. Second perspective is useful in many things. But as much as it is beneficial, it has more disadvantages. If it is not controlled, then gradually it spreads like a virus in the whole society. The virus is not a virus of physical disease but of mental illness. Disease virus because often we are thinking things from second perspective, but as soon as we start thinking from first perspective then we feel disappointed. Second perspective is like a disease which increases every day. Every person, every generation and every society starts coming in its grip. Since the beginning of films, the way of looking at things has changed. When we record a video and watch it, we are thinking from the point of view of the second person. The example of why we should not be in the video is as if you have gone for a walk somewhere and when you come home and think about that place, you do not enjoy it that much, but as soon as you capture that picture in the phone, and when you see that picture according to the second person, then you like it very much and they become addictive behind this thing. It is very important to pay attention to these things. It is not that only these things are dangerous. There is another thing which is even more dangerous, and that is that sharing on the internet with people. Its biggest side effect is that we want to see that scenario from a second person. And this second person is also us, and we gradually see that vision inside our mind. We start losing that point of view from which we had to see those things. And we had to be happy with that thing. We get happiness by seeing those things as a second person. These things are not going to go away easily. It is like a disease. That's why it is very important to treat it. The best way is to do detoxification of camera. When COVID-19 disease came in the world, many things were learned. Many new things were stopped, and that's why we can see a new change in the world. Got it? When we do detoxification with the camera, keep ourselves separate from the camera for 1 month, 2 months or 3 to 4 months. Then we will go somewhere you will be able to slowly revive your first person perspective. Every scene happening around you, every incident happening around you, when you will be able to think with your inner mind, and when you start thinking about that thing, so your first perspective will start increasing gradually. Often people earn their livelihood from this thing. Many organizations and all the big businessmen also support it. Knowing this thing because it is very addictive for a human being. It harms the style of thinking a lot. Doing 1 or 2 people will not make much difference in these things. But when the whole world together promotes these things, only then something can happen that will see a change.